Hi, everyone. We'll get started in a minute. Before we get started, though, I wanted to remind everyone that today's session is being recorded and that all lines are muted upon entry, and we ask all participants to stay on mute throughout the presentation. If you've dialed in by phone, please press *6 to mute your phone line. If you have questions for the presenters, please feel free to type them in chat and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. We'll start in just a minute. Okay, Brendan, I think we're good to go.
Great, thank you, Rita. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And of course, thank you to IPMI for putting this event together and giving us this platform to speak to you today. I'm Joel Freewa. I am with Blink Charging, and joining me today are our very knowledgeable VP of Marketing, Rebecca Gutierrez. Rebecca, how are you?
Good, thanks, Joel.
And somebody who's truly a VIP in the EV charging industry, our Senior VP of Technology and Product Development, Josh Winkler. Josh, how are you today?
Hey, good. Thanks, Joel. Hey, everyone.
Thank you both for joining us. And again, thank you to IPMI for putting this event together. We wanted to come on today to essentially introduce everybody in the presentation to Blink Charging, who we are, and give you some valuable information about not just Blink, but where the EV charging industry is going as a whole. So obviously it's going to be changing quite a bit in the next few years. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it to Rebecca, and they're going to pack you full of information today.
Thanks, Joel. Yeah, so welcome everyone. I hope the virtual conference is informative. I know we kind of all miss out on the actual in-person events, so hopefully soon we'll get back to those. In the meantime, we're going to do our best to try to make this interactive. We love your questions. Please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat, and we'll get to all of those at the end. I think we left plenty of time for the questions. So let's just start with a question to you guys. You'll have an opportunity to kind of kick us off and get you warmed up. So the question is, how much do you feel, I'm not sure if you can see it all, but how much do you feel the EV space will change parking operations in the next year? So quite a bit, a lot, not much. Do you think it's really going to shape how you do in parking operations and facilities management? I'll just give you some time to get everyone in the room and get answering that poll question. It's getting pretty close. It started pretty strong. It's getting close. This is fun to watch. All right, I think we can end the poll. I think we have a pretty good consensus here. Go ahead and share those results. The verdict is in quite a bit, but close to a little. So that's interesting. I actually want to open it up at the end, and for those of you who said a little or not much, get your thoughts on why that might be. Certainly when you're talking about electric vehicles, you guys are on the front lines. And so there's no doubt it is going to shape your business. Maybe it's because you're already prepared for it. That's my thought. All right, so let's just look a little bit at how much the business is growing, right? So the demand for electric vehicles, I think you cannot turn on a television now without hearing something about EVs. Certainly the new administration is coming in and talking about electrifying the federal fleets. There's some pretty big contracts out there for that. People are the auto manufacturers, the OEMs. They're going big. They're bringing well over 100 fully electric plus battery electric vehicles to market, and these are really cars that people are interested in buying. We're having pickup trucks. We're having plug-in hybrid minivans and SUVs, and you name it, you're going to be able to buy it in an electric model. So that's fantastic. And then, ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft are committing to going all in. Lyft saying by 2030, their entire fleet is going to be electric. That actually opens some really interesting business opportunities for those who are in the parking facility space, because, a lot of the drivers for these ride-hail companies don't necessarily live in single family dwellings, so they need to charge somewhere else. So maybe you can implement programs in the evenings where they charge and things like that. There's a lot of really exciting things happening in this space. And of course, the cities and the municipalities have gone very public about going all in. California led the path, as they often do in this space, saying they're going to ban internal combustion engines by 2035. It was very quickly followed by Massachusetts, and then New Jersey is doing something extremely similar. So no doubt they are the future. I think Josh was around when it was just a twinkle in the eye, but we're finally hitting that hockey stick moment where things are going to move up. There's a lot of reasons for that. Thank you, Joel. One is the cost of batteries has come down significantly. So back in 2010, you can see it was over $1,100 per kilowatt of battery capacity. Now we're looking at just over $150, and that's going to continue to go down. As battery costs come down, the range anxiety, which is where people are worried they're going to run out of range, is getting alleviated. People are becoming more familiar, more educated about this space, which just further propels the expansion of the industry. So where does that bring us? Obviously, Blink Charging, we're in the EV infrastructure space. We also have a little foray into the electric car sharing business. But we're in the right place at the right time, and we want to bring companies like yours along because we need site host locations. We need people who say, yep, I want to take part in the EV future. And I want to do that by hosting a charging station. And then I want to, collect on the revenues as such as well. As you can see, the demand for the infrastructure for these cars is absolutely accelerating. 400% increase in what we have. I recently read that globally, we're going to need 55 million charge points by 2050. We're nowhere near that number. So it is a fantastic time to go all in on electric as a site host as well. So that's kind of building up the need. We're going to talk a little bit about Blink and what makes us an innovative company and an innovative product for parking facilities specifically. And then we'll end with some of the futures, what we see coming up in this space and with EV charging infrastructure and technology. With that, I'm going to kick it over to Josh, who is truly an architect of our flagship product, which is the most innovative in the space. So Josh.
Thanks, Rebecca. And hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Joshua Winkler. I currently work at Blink as the Senior Vice President of Product and Technology. And I've been part of this space for about the last 10 years. So to Rebecca's point, seeing the fits and starts of this space over the last 10 years, looking at the pioneer product and also the challenges that we faced. And based on everything that we've learned over the last 10 years, we have applied that knowledge to a really innovative and future-proofed product that we're going to be talking about today. It's the Blink IQ200 Level 2 AC charging station. And what this is the fastest commercial Level 2 AC charging product in the market right now. Provides up to 65 miles of range per hour and essentially is configurable to operate anywhere from 12 amps to 80 amps or 19.2 kilowatts. And as the vehicle charging capabilities increase in the future, this product is already staged to support the current needs as well as the needs of the future. Many of the vehicles are going to be pushing to higher current rates for AC charging in the future, and this product here is able to meet those needs in the future. It's a fully networked product. It operates either on Wi-Fi or cellular. Also has some modular capabilities as well. So you can have a gateway unit that operates on cellular, and units that are client units can connect to it via Wi-Fi and communicate to a central management system where pricing, utilization, reporting, and all of that can be completed. We also are able to, as I mentioned a minute ago, configure the maximum current output. And we'll be talking about some local load management here in just a moment. But in a standalone, I guess we can stay on the previous slide here for just a quick minute. I want to kind of talk about the installation capabilities as well. But we're able to configure the maximum current of these units if there is limited power available. Let's say the full 80 amps isn't available at a specific site. The current output can be reduced to accommodate a reduced power budget. Also, the unit itself has several different ways that sessions can be authorized and initiated, including RFID cards, NFC for smart credit cards, as well as a mobile app that can send remote start commands And we also issue blink codes, which allow the unit to be started with a 6-digit code. This unit is fully capable of tracking energy. We're working with several of the different compliance organizations as well to get CTEP and NTEP certification for California, which is the trendsetter for this market. And we can see that being adopted in the rest of the US as well. This product is also capable of supporting all or nearly all vehicles in the North American market. I know there's some challenges with different specifications on the DCFC side, but for AC charging, everything that has an AC charging port, every vehicle that has an AC charging port is compatible with this product. So it's flexible, it's scalable, and able to support a very wide range of hybrid electric vehicles and plug-in electric vehicles. We designed this product to be modular in terms of installation as well. And so we have a ceiling mount cable management system. The unit can be installed either on a wall, on a pedestal, single pedestal, dual pedestal, and can also support single and dual cable management systems as well. So not only is the product itself modular, we've designed accessories to be able to allow this product to be installed in a number of different configurations, because we realize there's no one size fits all for a specific parking lot or parking garage. And we've designed accessories and products to be able to fit the needs of the specific situation. All right, Joel, we can move to the next slide.
If I can just add one thing to that as well, should you ever need to repair a unit, it was designed in such a way that we can very quickly take the unit off, plop a new one on, and you don't ever have to worry about repairs, and we just take care of that. So that's a really nice feature and something that I think was an upgrade from the first generation EV chargers.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, modularity in the product definitely yields itself to maintainability long term. As I mentioned before, the unit is able to support reduced current, but we also have a unique feature set for the product that supports local load management. So what is local load management? This allows us to be able to utilize essentially a reduced power budget at a site and be able to smartly distribute that power budget between the different charging units that are on site. The two policies that we support currently right now are uniform distribution, first in, first served, and there are also some others to be supported on the roadmap as well. And so what this allows us to do, and also hosts to do, is install products at a parking lot, maybe where there's only 80 amps available, and we can smartly distribute that 80 amps on an as-needed basis between multiple chargers so that we can get the maximum output for vehicles, either by uniformly distributing that current between the different chargers or by doing a first-come, first-served basis. We are also strong supporters of interoperability in this space, both from an EV charging services provider standpoint and also from an OEM integration standpoint. What this does is it allows members to be able to roam on different networks and have really a seamless user experience by us integrating with other electric vehicle charging providers as well as OEMs, so that they can display critical information regarding charging systems on dashboard or navigation systems to create a truly seamless user experience. And with that, we'll go to the next slide. I believe Rebecca has another poll.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Before we do that, I just wanted to remind everybody, I know this is a lot of information, so if you do have any questions at any time, please just put your questions in the chat and we're going to gladly get to all of them here near the end of the presentation. So with that, Rebecca, I'll turn it back over to you.
You got it. So we have a second poll question. This one actually does have an answer, but let's test out your knowledge, see how you do. So go ahead and pop that poll up if you may. Out of US consumers, what do you think are the top reasons that they're not going EV? And maybe you don't have an EV and you know why you're not. So is it the driving range, the purchase price, initial purchase price, the lack of infrastructure, safety concerns, or charge times? Let us know.
This one's even closer than the last one.
Yeah, this is This is great. It's great feedback too. Give it just a couple more seconds. Looks like most people are casting their votes. All right, let's go ahead and let's end it and show you. All right, so you guys said lack of EV charging infrastructure. Man, you are spot on. You are, along with all the rest of the US consumers poll, that is the #1 reason that people aren't widely adopting electric vehicles. So of course, it's on you and us to change that, to get the infrastructure in place so that they are confident to adopt electric vehicles. And certainly in the places where electric vehicles are going to, where internal combustion engines are going to be banned and electric vehicles are going to be the preferred transportation, we need to make sure they feel safe and confident that that infrastructure is there. Close #2 is driving range. Again, you are absolutely in touch with the rest of the US consumer base. That is #2. It follows very shortly thereafter. Driving range is a significant concern. There is range anxiety with those who are not familiar with electric vehicles. However, we are seeing that number diminish year over year as battery technology improves, as the number of charge ports become larger and more accessible, and certainly more accessible in some rural areas. And then as the battery ranges get longer and longer on cars. So we expect that number to continue to go down as well. And third, absolutely in line with the rest of the consumers, although slightly higher. Purchase price is an initial consideration, but again, as those battery prices come down, we see the cost of the vehicles come down as well. So all of that, you guys are spot on. I'm super proud of you. Nice job. All right, what do we got next? So go ahead and share those results. All right. Josh, what does the future hold for not just EVs, but our entire industry?
Absolutely. So we are always forward-looking and future-looking at Blink. And while we are designing products which meet current and future needs for vehicles, we really see the future of electric vehicle charging being a purely contactless experience. Now, I realize there may be some time between now and that point. There's a lot of details that have to be worked out on the contactless or wireless inductive charging front. But that is the way that the industry is headed. And there's several different types of wireless charging. I'm not going to get into all the details here, at least in this forum. But the one that's depicted here is static charging, so a parking space. And we are working with some strong technology partners to be able to design a inductive charging bumper that allows a person to be able to pull into a parking space. All of the handshaking goes on between the vehicle and the system, and the person can essentially get out of their vehicle and do what they were intending to do without having to really interact with any charging system. So that's the way that the industry is headed, and we are definitely looking to be pioneers and trendsetters in that arena. We're also looking at smart city solutions from e-mobility to tying in with communications and other opportunities within cities as well. Looking at also renewable energy sources, battery storage, and maybe coupling those two together to be able to provide innovative solutions that aren't increasing and causing a huge demand on a fairly fragile grid, as we're seeing in some areas of the country. And so by coupling renewable energy sources with energy storage solutions, we're able to provide high amounts of power and current at a site while still minimizing our impact. And so that's the way that Blink is looking. That's looking to the future and looking forward to be able to design combined solutions which meet our host and customer needs.
So as we kind of look at that holistic smart city thing, it really is not just one structure or one business or even one solution. We're looking at last mile transportation. We're looking at electrifying fleets. bringing electric car sharing to locations to really encourage consumers not just to go electric, but even to reconsider transportation needs. I live in downtown Miami. Do I really need a car? I think in the last year, and certainly COVID didn't help, but I think I put about 200 miles at best on my car in a year. It was pretty crazy. So we have to really think about, as a future electric transportation company, what does that look like? And it's not just cars, it's the scooters, it's the e-mobility, last mile, and then it's fleets. Fleets is the unsung kind of workhorse, if you will, of the industry, and electrifying the fleets could really have a huge environmental impact and impact altogether on transportation. So how do you integrate a fleet? How do you electrify your fleet? Those are all questions that we're working through with our clients, which I think we have a slide of some of our clients in here. But really, it's the holistic smart city and electrification of the smart city. Yep, so there they are, just a few of our clients, of course. Plenty of parking clients, love to have a couple of more, always. Shameless plug, can't help myself. But yeah, it's the big names and the little names. It's the mom and pop shop down below, because it's true that every parking spot at this time is an opportunity to bring EV charging to your facility. Whether people intend to stay there for an hour or overnight, it's an opportunity for you to add an additional revenue stream and to provide an amenity. Again, for people who don't live in single family homes, that may be their only opportunity to charge their vehicle. So it's very critical we continue our fight to bring this EV infrastructure across the country and really, truly around the world. I think that's all we have. I cannot wait to see what questions we have. I've seen them kind of popping up.
Before we get to questions, I want to thank you both, and again, thank IPMI. Every time I present with Rebecca and Josh, I feel like I learned something new. Even though I've heard them talk about this stuff forever, I always learn something new. So Rita, if we can get to the questions.
We certainly can, and there are quite a few. So I'll start with Keith. Wants to know, what do you believe is the appropriate mix between level 2 and level 3 chargers?
Yes. All of them. Josh, do you want to tackle that one?
Sure. So there's needs for both in this market. Blink designs products to be able to accommodate where people live, work, play, but also people travel. And so integrating level 2 AC charging into kind of waypoint type charging allows it to be a part of what they're doing. So, malls, shopping centers, those types of things really lend themselves well to AC type charging, where the dwell times are going to be a little bit longer. For DC charging, you're going to see that more for arterial or interstate type charging, where people are going from point to point and need to be able to quickly charge while they're getting to their destination. So I don't think there's a magic bullet in this industry. I really do see that there's a definite need for both in this industry.
Okay, and a follow-up question that Keith had was, can you integrate with a parking payment infrastructure to facilitate payment of charging and parking simultaneously?
So I guess the question to clarify, is it to integrate with an on-site payment system that's already there for parking?
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
So I guess the short answer is interoperability is supported. There's a standard, if you want alphabet soup here, it's OCPI, or Open Charge Point Interface. And so that spec can be leveraged to be able to have payment processed by an independent source, and then have those chargers activated and a charge session started on those units using that interface.
Yeah, and a word about payments as well. So there's a lot of variables on whether you provide it as a free amenity for your customers to attract them to your facility versus someone else's, or whether you use it as a revenue stream to charge for the actual kilowatts or the time they're plugged in and charging their vehicle. Or it could be, a flat fee that you can charge as well. It really depends on your location and what you're trying to get from the amenity.
Okay, then we have a question here from Elliot. He said, how do you see auto charging stations integrating with shared e-bike and scooter sharing stations to make the charging spot more of a multimodal mobility hub? Any work on combining the installation cost of both to serve both types of service at a lower cost than both separately?
Josh, you want me to take that or you got it?
I guess I'll give a quick blurb and then feel free to tag on as well. But this is being piloted in some areas in Europe as well. That model is being tested there. And so, Europe has kind of been a little bit of a trendsetter, at least early on, even back in 2011 when I joined this industry. So, we do things differently in terms of interoperability, but this is definitely something that, we're looking at least from the tests that are happening there. And I can see that adopting its, or making its way into the US to be adopted.
Yeah, definitely. We do have a European product that has a dual port for vehicles and then also an e-bike. So it is absolutely going to be the conversation going forward.
Okay, we have a question here from Brian who says, do you have units that allow patrons to pay at the charger itself via NFC or EMV, etc.?
Yes. Yeah, the reader that is built into the unit supports NFC, but does not support EMV because we are moving towards a contactless user experience.
Okay, another question. Do your respective states offer EV rebates?
Depends which state you're in. A significant amount of them do. If not, utilities also offer a lot of rebates. So I would say go ahead and visit our website, blinkcharging.com, because we have a list of all the incentives and rebates available. Or just shoot me a note or shoot Josh or Joel a note, and we'll get you in the right direction for your rebates. They change constantly. We try to always be ahead of those. So we may know something's coming in your state that's not yet published as well. And that goes for both level 2 and DCFC.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I'll add a quick note on that is that Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, but the federal tax rebate also just got extended till the end of 2021, right?
Right. Yep. There's also a federal tax rebate.
Great.
Save some money on your
Another question, what do you think is the percentage of EV vehicles that need to be driven to pay for the infrastructure investment and validate parking space usage being converted from gas to electric?
It's a really great question. It's a question we get a lot. How do I measure ROI and how quickly am I going to see it? It's a really complicated question to answer. We do have on our website a blog post recently that can kind of help guide your answer, but really you're going to need to talk to someone to talk about your specific location to establish that. For example, Blink has several different business models, and depending on which you would opt for, whether you purchase the equipment outright or partner with us and do a revenue share, all those are variable. So it's really difficult to answer that question. But if you are interested, just let us know and we'll help you determine that number.
Okay, another question here. How much power loss is there with inductive charging?
That's one of the big challenges right now in that, technology and research and development arena. In some cases, they're pushing into the low to mid 90% efficiency, but that is definitely something. You can look at the research coming out of several of the different national labs that is going on, as well as some of the OEMs doing significant testing in that space, but really pushing that efficiency up to make sure that loss is not something that's going to be an implication of deploying inductive charging.
Okay, next question. Robert is asking, would you speculate that wireless or contactless charging solutions would be compatible with the infrastructure we are implementing for our current charging stations, i.e. what retrofitting might need to take place to be successful when wireless charging becomes a reality?
So as long as the input voltage characteristics are the same, then the same infrastructure in terms of conduit and conductors should be compatible with whatever equipment is needed to service and support the wireless or inductive chargers.
Okay, and next question, is the Blink and ChargePoint network app sharing info with each other, or do they have to use separate apps to identify where the charging stations are?
Sure. So that's the interoperability that we're working for. We do have agreements with two companies right now, two other EV charging providers. It is not currently ChargePoint. However, I do expect that to be coming as well. If you're just looking to identify a location, there's a lot of third-party apps that are great and that have all of them. PlugShare is the one that's most popular with EV drivers. So it'll list every charging network that is networked on there, including Tesla and all the others. But yeah, interoperability is still very much in early stages in the US. We've been part of Hubject in Europe for a long time, and they're a little bit more advanced, but in the US, we're going direct with each. So we signed the contract with the first few, and now Josh has the very real task of making it all work.
Okay, we'll get to one more question or two. We do have sessions that start again at 3:15, so we can't go over too much. But
Rita, if I may, if we can get all the questions, we'll go ahead and answer all of those and put it up on our website, and then everyone's questions can at least be answered.
No problem. I can certainly do that. Okay, so next question, is Blink looking at the vehicle to grid space?
Yes, and that is really going to be an intermediate step as well. And I know throwing out the specification terms here, but the ISO 15118, which is the spec that really kind of controls the vehicle to grid communications as well as power. One of the use cases in there is plug and charge. And plug and charge is going to be really the first step that both electric vehicle service providers as well as OEMs are going to take to really, supporting and providing kind of that vehicle to grid support through ISO 15118.
If you want a more technical answer to that, I'll give you Josh's email.
Okay, what percentage of municipalities charge for the use of chargers?
I'm not sure I can answer that one right off the top of my head. I can get back. Again, we can answer that on our website. It really depends on what they're trying to get out of it. Right off the top of my head, I would say 50-50, but I would like to get data before I say that.
So because of time constraints, that is going to be our last question. Rita, if you can, please get us all those questions. And shortly, hopefully today or tomorrow, we'll have all those answers up on our website. I want to again thank Josh and Rebecca for their time today. I always learn something new when talking to the both of you. And Rita and IPMI and your whole team, thank you for your hard work and for having us on today.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Take care.